talking really quietly at the moment because my wife's over there and she doesn't know what I've been up to. I've just spent £150 on two toys that would have cost me £1.98 in 1978. Two toys that I've never heard of before from a toy line that I never knew even existed. And this all started a couple of months ago when I found this Airfix catalogue. So a couple of months ago, I was having a tidy out in the museum and I come across this, which is the 1978 toy catalogue by Airfix. And I opened the first page and I saw this, Airfix Eagles. And I thought, what the hell are they? It's a toy line I've never heard of. I don't recognise any of the figures. And I have no idea what it was about. The more I looked at this catalogue, and of course how cheap the toys were in those days, the more obsessed I became with the toys that are in it. So my first port of call was to try and get some. And that was almost impossible. They're very hard to find and they're very expensive, which is why I've told you what I've paid for these two toys at the beginning of this video. So I'll show you this one first. This is the rather brilliant Captain Eagle, who is obviously leader of the Eagles. In fact, I'm going to see what it says about him in here. Right. Captain Eagle, more than a man, a superman who leads the Eagles in their fights against evil. Captain Eagle is fully poseable and comes complete with life support pack, gripper, transceiver, stun gun holster, and most importantly, a helmet. So here he is in all his glory. And this box is rather fantastic. The artwork is brilliant, even if he is a little bit Hello Sailor on the back of it. But you can see all his accessories. And I think if I'd have known more about these toys at the time, I would have wanted to buy them. I think that's maybe why I don't remember these, is because 1978 was about the time that kind of Star Wars figures started to hit the shops. Now, I don't know if this was Airfix's attempt to tap into that market in a slightly cheaper way, because these toys do actually have a bit of history, but I'm going to show you him up close first of all. Now, me being me, I've gone and bought a mint sealed one, haven't I? So I can't take him out the packet and show you. But he has strange silver hair, he's got a hard plastic body, and then rubber trousers. And underneath the rubber trousers are articulated legs, and in there is his helmet. And then of course he's got very sensible shoes. The other thing is his hands rotate as well, which is a bit odd. But overall, that's a really cool figure. And then I've got this bag of accessories that go with him that really, well, they're a bit odd, but he does look cool on the front of the packet. But the figure that I really kind of became obsessed with getting was this chap here, Dr. War. Let me tell you about Dr. War before I show you him. Dr. War. The Eagle's main adversary emerges in the sinister shape of Dr. War. Both his hands can carry any piece of Eagle equipment. I don't think they can. Remove the hands to reveal spring-loaded arms capable of firing the rockets carried in the backpack. Dr. War, like other Eagle figures, is fully poseable. Let's take a look at this guy because he's absolutely brilliant. As soon as I saw this figure, I knew I had to get one. Now, I put him in my category of brilliantly rubbish, but he's also awesome. He's absolutely fantastic. He's got silver sensible shoes. I don't think that will focus if I put it there. He's got silver sensible shoes. He has a backpack which annoyingly keeps sliding down his back. It should be further up, but it won't stay there. And he has these two rather awesome bullets in. Now, in the catalogue, there's also two silver bullets in here, but I don't think he ever came with those. I think those are meant to go in there. But I'm not going to force them in because there are two tiny springs in the back of there. And what you're meant to do with the two tiny springs is put them in the arms, and then when you push these in, they fire out. But I'm not going to do that because I tried that before and I jammed one of those springs in and I nearly broke the whole figure. So I'm going to be really careful. Now, it says in the blurb, his hands can hold pretty much any of the Eagles accessories. I don't think you can hold much of that with that Gucci G-shaped hand of his. Oh, and there's one last surprise as well. The sort of Viking meets Darth Vader chrome helmet comes off, and inside you get Crichton. There is so much articulation in this figure, it's brilliant. They're just fantastic. Now, I know I paid a ludicrous amount of money for these two figures, But what I wanted to do was a museum display with this catalogue. So since then I've become obsessed with buying some of the other toys that are in there. But that's a story for another video for another day. I still want to focus on these because these have a little bit of a history, which I thought I knew a lot about. Airfix originally were a comb manufacturer. In fact, I think they were the biggest distributor of men's combs before the war. After the war, they were one of the first companies to bring in an injection moulding machine to the UK, and they got into the kit business by accident because they were producing a model of a tractor for a company, and to keep the cost down, what they did was made it self-assembly, and Airfix as a kit making company was born. But these things are really engineered and really well made, and the reason for that is these were actually from a German company called Plasty. Airfix, by the early 1970s, were one of the biggest toy companies in Britain, and they were also distributing all across Europe. Thing is, by 1981 they were completely bust, but at least the company survived in some shape or form. It's owned by Hornby now. These characters I think are fantastic. There's a medic, military police, a scuba diver, a paratrooper, a commando and a deep sea diver. And then you've got all these accessories. My favourite being, if you can just see him down in the corner, the Terror from the Deep. That looks like one of those drunk fighting octopuses that you hang your coat upon. He's not very terrifying at all. Then you've got all these vehicles. Do they call it a command centre? Activity centre, there you go. I mean, there's lots of other great toys in here, and it sent me on a bit of a rabbit hole collecting. You've got Weebles, Vertibirds, a Farrah Fawcett doll, you've got traditional Airfix soldiers, and then right at the back you've got Micronauts, which I had no idea that Airfix distributed those in the 70s. But these things have a bit of an interesting history. As I said to you before, a lot of the characters in there were either divers or military men or policemen, and they don't really kind of fit in with these two toys and the story that they're trying to tell. So these have to have been kind of put together after those figures, and I thought those were really strange characters to put with these guys. And this has to be directly influenced by the Star Wars toy line, because of course Kenner couldn't get any figures out 77, 78, and that's really when Airfix started to produce these things. But Airfix didn't actually make them. What they did was they bought a German company called Plasty, who already manufactured all of these figures. And what they've done is made a few more accessories and a bit of a backstory and created the Eagles. These were actually called were they Action Stars? I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, these were actually a quick redesign of another toy line called Action Stars, which Airfix distributed mainly in Europe. These figures were never included in that toy range. So I think these are a kind of Star Wars knockoff attempt to tap into that toy market at that time, because there weren't the Star Wars figures out there. And I think it's a real shame that these things never really took off. These are actually pretty good figures, and despite the fact that some of them are a little bit kind of ordinary, if they'd have done a bigger space range, I think this could have really taken off. This is the 1978 Airfix catalogue, and the Eagles are right at the front. In the 79 catalogue, they're right at the back, so it obviously didn't work. But right at the front of the 79 catalogue, the Micronauts, and they really took off. So I think I've got really lucky here discovering these toys, because I never would have known about them, and I wouldn't have become obsessed with them. I'm gonna have to find more of them. I don't think I'll ever be able to complete the set though. There just don't seem to be any of them out there. In fact, if any of you guys had any of these toys or remember them, please tell me about them in the comment section below. It would be great to know if anyone actually remembers playing with them. And I think they're gonna make an awesome display in the museum. So let me know what you think about the Airfix Eagles in the comments section below, especially let me know if you had any of them as a kid. That's it for this week. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon for another video.